Hi, everybody. Matt here from Matt Likes Comics, and I am really excited tonight because I get to bring on my new friend Leo from Time Travel Comics. Leo, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, we're doing great. Happy to be here. Thank you for bringing me on board, Matt.
How have things been on the channel lately? Like have been people been visiting? And
Yeah, lately on the channel, it's the season of comic book conventions and pickups. So we had a great local con that's a mini con, no charge, and against the bigger ones, they kind of charge too much. And it was at our local church, so it was great.
Mhm.
Had a pickup short video, if you will, and just kind of palling around with other comic book buddies and showing them on the channel and also just seeing what treasures are in the wild. And that's always the adventure. And every summer, every season really brings something new.
Awesome. For those that aren't familiar with Leo's channel over at Time Travel Comics, Leo, it says right in the description of his video, he likes to collect the older books. Which ages would you say that you concentrate on the most? Silver Age? Okay. And
A
it looks like
Silver Age,
you,
I've been dabbling with like Golden Age because they intrigue me, the artwork and the history. And I just like the timepieces that comics represent. And some Bronze Age goodies, which I'll be happy to show you too. Some of the bronze mixed with the silver and the gold, and you can see the continuum of our hobby and comic.
very cool. Very cool. So, uh, let's tell our audience, how did you get into comic books when you were a kid?
Well, it started out, my mother was a school teacher and she had a lot of copies of the illustrated classic comic book. And for those of you who don't know, it used to summarize the classic book, such as Oliver Twist, Gulliver's Travels, a lot of the classic Three Musketeers. And I would just flip through the pages and look at the artwork and the colors. And that was my introduction, as well as Snoopy and the Sunday
Mhm.
paper. I actually saved some of the Sunday pages from Calvin and Hobbes, The Far Side, Snoopy, Foxtrot, and I saved them. And then I realized, wait, there's more to comics than the newspaper and my mom's collection.
Mhm.
That I just went to Walgreens and I saw these funny looking magazines next to the other magazines, and they had more funnies, like funnies inside of them. And my fifth grade teacher really was a catalyst because her husband was a comic book store owner. And
Very
in the
cool.
back of the classroom, there would be remainder copies and extra boxes. And my math teacher, Mrs. Sarno, would say, "Hey, go help yourself, grab a book, take some for the weekend." Spider-Man was introduced, Superman was introduced, and then I was begging my mom to go to like five and dime stores in Walgreens
Mhm.
to see if the next issue was available.
Mhm.
And that comic book store was owned by Joe Sarno, which is a big one in the Chicagoland area. And little did I know, my teacher was a husband to, or the wife to a comic book store owner. So then I was just reading everything at one point.
Very cool. So, who did you like first? Like, was it the Spider-Mans and Supermans? Like, did you gravitate towards Marvel or DC or any?
I was more of a DC guy. The one of the first, and I still have it in a collection, is from 1990, a Superman treasury book. It had Batman in it, and I remember
Very
reading it and
cool.
thinking, "This isn't really Superman." It was like a parallel universe because that's when DC and Marvel started getting into universes. Like this doesn't match the cartoon that I saw, but it is Superman, and I'll take whatever I can get that's Superman. So I went with it. It had some Superman action in it with infrared, the beam, laser vision, and then the Ninja Turtles. Watching the syndicated coming home from school, those half-hour TV shows. Well, I watched the Ninja Turtles faithfully. Watched like the Smurf, Ducktales, uh, Gargoyles, anything that was on the TV right before you had dinner and you did
Mhm.
your homework. And then I just tried to get, because we didn't have YouTube. We only had that moment in time, and then you're out of luck. And if you had a comic book, it's a way to sustain that experience.
Very
And it was
cool.
great.
Very cool. Now, as life goes on, as it does for most of us, like I personally had probably a 20-year period where I wasn't collecting comics. For example, I sold them when I went to when I was out of high school, and didn't get back into them until later when I had kids. What was your moment you stopped collecting for a bit, and then did you keep your collection from before, or did you start again? And when did you get back in? How did you get back in?
No, that's a great question, Matt, as we've all struggled and lived through that. And if we survive the fittest, we'll still have a collection. I collected in high school and was picking up the Spectacular Spider-Man book, the Peter Parker ones, and was kind of enjoying it because I was in chemistry, and chemistry was a hard class. And I would read and I would say, oh, Peter Parker is doing chemistry. He's a scientist. He's doing things that I'm doing now in high school. So they resonated with me in high school. And I would go to my local drugstore. Like here in Chicago, we have Walgreens. It's or a grocery store. And I would pick up the books there. I didn't really know what a comic book store was until later. So that's when I started to fade out in college. It became more serious. I had to really hit the book. I actually had a downtick of comics and an uptick of collecting video games because
cool.
A lot of the stores were putting the Nintendo games for very low budget rate, $2, $3. I was buying the Nintendo Entertainment System and trying to collect as much of that. In fact, I started following YouTube for video games. So I was actually becoming more an accomplished video game collector through college and grad school. And then with comics were stored neatly, put away. They were kind of out of sight, out of mind. Video games were at the forefront. Sonic the Hedgehog, all the major properties. I just enjoyed the playability of that. But then after grad school and seeing some blockbuster movies and seeing a little bit more of the resurgence of comic book stores in my community, it was always a joy looking at pop culture, like anything that was pop culture related, something quirky, something funny, that was escapism from the regular world. You see this bright store with a lot of colorful photographs, a lot of pictures. And I was an art minor. I am in tune with art. I draw my own art. I've even showed in galleries. The media called to me again because I said, this is illustration. This is artwork. This is pop culture. This is also what they call Americana, the nostalgia with that. And then I got into comic book collecting again around 20 years ago. And a friend of mine, a colleague in the comic book industry, Captain Strangelove, a highly recommended channel, one of the earliest YouTubers, Captain Strangelove, and kind of gave me a nudge. One time we met, we talked some comics, we shared a couple comics, and 16 years later, we're collecting together and really fueling each other, as well as the comic book community like yourself, Matt, and others that are there. I've met some great people like Pete the Barber, who's a professional barber by day, comic book collector by night. Cheese and Keys, Bela, who hosted the summer show that I just talked about a little bit. So then it came full force. But that's how I got back into it, the ebbs and flows of collecting and just admiring artwork. Very
cool. Before we get into more, let's take a moment to say hi to everybody in the Nefarious Comics chat tonight. We're going to see, I see a familiar name in first. Everybody knows. Looks like I have to miss tonight's live stream. Enjoy the show, K Munin. And K Munin still says, I'm still first, though. So he took the time, can't make it tonight, but took the time to be first. That's his thing. He likes to be first. And speaking of second, interesting that it's Lewis at Second Floor Comics. Hi, Lewis. Hope you're feeling better today. And Steve Miller is here because time keeps on slipping into the future. Yeah, good to see you, Jeff. I'm glad to see you.
I like that play on words.
Here we go again. Robbie's
Yeah.
here. Good to see you, Robbie. Always. I'm glad that you made it. And we've got John Harrison here. Hi, John. Rob Saint is here. Rob, always good to see you here. Rich from Big Nasty's here, getting ready for his own show. He's on the Hall Yeah channel, the show that's on at 8 o'clock Eastern after us over on Hall Yeah Comics. Rich, of course, was here with us on Sunday. I'm glad you can make it. The absolutely wonderfully nice Stevie D is here. You want to talk artist? Steve, in his retirement, has decided he's going to teach himself how to draw, and I have many of his originals here.
Originals, yeah.
It's very cool.
They might be worth something.
Yep. We have Spinner Rack Studios saying, "Hey, Leo, welcome."
Oh,
Spinner
hey.
Rack. Hope you're
Happy retirement, another retiree. Great collector, beautiful spinner racks.
Yeah. Mike from Chonko Comics is here. Mike, good to see you. And Lyle's here. Hi, Lyle, who's usually with me on the Friday night show. Dan's Comic Corner is here. Great to see you. Welcome to the show. Lau is here. Speaking about Lau, when I was mentioning, I was talking with Leo before the show, and I mentioned your name as someone coming up soon on the show. Lau will be on in a couple of weeks to show off his new stuff for his next Kickstarter. And let's see, we've got a lot of talking going on between everybody. Turtwig is here. Good to see you, Turtwig, all the way from Connecticut, as you'll always say. Mike Dennis is here. Great to see you, Mike. I've had the pleasure of meeting with Leo a couple times. Spinner Rack is getting more into having lunch with him and Captain Strangelife. Great guys. Awesome. And
he's wonderful. It's great.
Griff is here. Good to see you, Uncle Griff. And Nate from Hall Yeah Comics is stopping in before he heads over and gets ready for his show. Good to see you, Nate. I'm glad to have you by. So we've gotten through the preliminaries, as I would say there, Leo. So why don't I make you big and you go ahead and show us what you brought for us tonight?
Oh, sure. No, thank you. And it's great to see all these people in the chat. Spinner Rack Dave, always great. I'll start out with some recent pickups just from last week, because that's always a pile that we all know that we have to sort and look at. But I found an oddity from King's Comics, and these are pull-away books that are kind of like party favors, and it includes Blondie, Beetle Bailey, also Popeye right here. So
I remember getting those as a kid. Even Snuffy Smith was one that I don't think I've seen Snuffy Smith outside of these little comic books or the little ads in the paper for the comics. Remember, you could get the patches for your jean jacket. It's the only other place I remember seeing Snuffy Smith. That's interesting.
It's neat. It even has a 59-cent sticker on it, and was able to pick it up for $5. So I was like happy with that.
Those are cool.
A beat up copy, because most of my friends know that I like low grade, and I get teased by Captain Strangelife, low grade Leo. So this is a low grade Leo find. It was $25, but it's the introduction of the invisible plane of Wonder Woman.
Oh, nice.
And this is issue number 80 from February. And I want to say like the early 50s. I have to check the inside of the book. But
it's a 10-cent book. Wait, let me see. Let me pull it up again. Pull it up again. Okay, it's definitely at least 55 because it's got the comic code on it.
Yes, yeah, because it has it up on top there. So let me
very cool
pop it open real quick and confirm the date. It's actually 1956. So really need to have that. It's in beat up shape, and sometimes like I put archival tape just if it's my reading book. It has little value.
Well, I'm one of those guys who completely agree. Goes for low grade is better than no grade. So
it is, and then later in the upgrade in the collection as you see it. I'm a Rocketeer fan. One of the earliest movies I've seen was The Rocketeer, and I'm really digging the Island series. They're on issue number 3 right now. 2 I actually ordered that's going to be coming in the mail. But I love Dave Stevens' artwork. He did a lot of great.
I don't know anybody who doesn't love Dave Stevens. That's really cool.
Yeah, just the realism and the passion that he put into his drawings, and I'll just throw in a couple Dave Stevens out there with Betty Page.
I have the Vanguard one. The Betty Page one is one that's on my list of things to get.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it was out of the blue. Anytime you go to a convention, you just don't know. I mean, it wasn't even on my radar, and then I come home with that. So I got a deal on it from what they listed. But I'm a big fan of space action. Any damsels in distress in space, I kind of gravitate toward. I even have like this little thing that even has more space action. This is from a while back, Bizarre Fantasy, little ash can here.
Yes.
And you probably heard too, Matt, like Nuka-Cola, anything with like space and some of that little bit of sensuality is pretty neat. Planet Comics. This is another one. This is a beat up condition. I'm going to get it pressed out. But another Dave Stevens, because I've been reading those and just admiring the artwork on that.
Dave Stevens, gone way too soon. That guy could have been, if he had managed, if somehow he could have had a career of about 5 years longer, I think he would be the biggest person of our age. But by far,
you're absolutely right. I mean, he wasn't with us that long, and he went too soon, and it's unfortunate because he offered a lot of talent.
Because his work is there's not as much of his work as some of these other artists. It took. I remember that he took off again when that movie came out on YouTube during COVID. There was a movie on YouTube about Dave Stevens, and that just brought him back to the forelight, and that's when the books took off again.
Mm-hmm. So, it kind of introduced it to collectors that might not
have another generation. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And even some of the comic critique magazines issued a full issue related to that. Have to check the title of that, but in the last year. So that's pretty neat as well. I'll show one more, if I may, Matt. This is just coming out now. It's Betty and Veronica. So again, more space action and a little theme right there to start out the show. This is July 2026. So it's I think a 1 in 350.
Yeah, I've seen that advertised. Yeah, I was going to say, I know that 1 or 2 people have it, and there's Lewis. So it is. I have that. Yes, that one is. It is recent, but it is very popular because, again, yes, the women in space, particularly when there's bubble Hamlets, have always been popular, and it's nice to see that they're coming back, like with more and more of this sort of stuff. I like that everything that's old is new again, and a lot of the current artists are bringing back older styles and older their own styles. You can tell who their influences were and where they're developing it from. Plus the fact you've got, people that use things like iPads and stuff instead of doing regular pen to paper. They're bringing a different style to it, and it's making for very interesting covers.
No, absolutely, and it almost is synonymous with going on today with SpaceX, Elon Musk, and the prospect that they had back in the day too. This vision in the 50s and 60s is almost rekindled today, in my opinion. Just to see that revisitation of the possibility of otherworldly experiences.
So show us some of the books you got behind you there, the Uncanny Tales and the Tommy Tomorrows and the et cetera.
Oh, sure, yeah. Really nice. These have been picked up over the years, and it emulates the comic wall that we see in comic book stores. So yeah, just some Carl Burgos art and some art from the bullpen of Atlas before it became turned into Marvel. So just loving the style, and even seeing Steve Ditko's work in here. and the monster genre, the horror genre. It speaks to me. I just like the vintage aesthetic of it, being an older,
Mm-hmm.
being a person of a newer age, and just seeing some of these covers and titles and things like that. Some are worn
Yeah,
out
see,
copies.
the world of suspense, I don't think I've ever seen that one before. That is really cool.
Yeah, this happens to be like the issue, I want to say 18, but it just has like the paranormal phantasm experience, and it just has 4 to 5 stories of suspense in there that are like ghost and pokergeist and something is in this house. So I just love the marquees that they did back in the day, the grabbing attention to that. Unknown Worlds here. We have here a Wally Wood story in here as well. Carl Burgos cover with the dark themes. And it's just that little curve of the marquee is just what really is a lot of fun and does it for me. So I just put these ones out there. They're kind of not categorized in my collection because I don't have the full run of them, and they're kind of outliers. But they are
Mhm.
very nice to display.
Those
And
Atlas
of course,
books are very nice to even have a copy of. They are so hard to get and so fun to get. I mean, I've only got a couple of I think I have 2 Atlas books, and I won them both in draws on YouTube. I didn't buy either, but I treasure them because flipping through them, like, oh my God, I so see now why everybody loves them. Kirby monsters. Who doesn't love Kirby monsters?
Bing Fang Foom,
Yes.
Gratu.
Or
It's
yes.
like, how did they come up with them? They just said it like that, and this is what's going to stick, and we're going to put it as a title.
Well, Steven Gettner always says they came up with the names just by doubling consonants. You know, it's always like 2 T's or 2 O's or 2 U's. And it was kind of funny because it's true when you look at
No,
it.
that's a good point, man. Like how to introduce it. But they're very clever. I feel like 1950s and 60s, they really earned their keep and coming up with ideas and really going against the grain at the time of trying to sell comics. And it was a
Yeah.
challenging atmosphere with Comic Code Authority getting rid of books, and they really had to step outside the box with artwork, story, and catching grabbing titles to get readers to come back. And you just see it and you want to read more about it.
Yes, Strange Adventures. That is one of my favorite titles that I don't have a lot of, but I've read a lot of. That's they started out interesting, and then when it became Adam Strange, the title was just absolutely great. Stephen was showing a few of those on Sunday. Do you have so I guess what I'm saying, what are you concentrating on the most right now to buy? Like, what is if I'm going to a convention, this is what I'm looking for first right now.
A couple of things I'm looking for is Star Comics. Star Comics is from the 80s.
Yeah.
It's an imprint series, and it's funny as it sounds. Like some of the hokey titles, like Heathcliff, Care Bears, obviously. Some of the Star Wars, Ewok. Some of the Prince. So it almost mirrors Richie Rich. I'm drawing a blank right now, but obscure. The obscure. If I find Atlas books from Larry Lieber, 1975, the Atlas, the
Right.
one that kind of rebooted. I look for Atlas book like the Scorpion or Target. I look for Star Comics and that. And then sometimes, believe it or not, coverless books. I've been creating some covers for some big boy books, but making some covers for them.
So Star
So
Comics.
all over the place, man, all over. My scattered
Do
brain.
you have if you're talking about Star Comics, do you have the Alf Innuendo one that everybody wants?
I do not. No.
Yeah. I saw that for $80 the 2 shows ago, and I'm like, I think that was over that now. That's Canadian dollars, but still, I thought that was overpriced. You know,
it could be pricey, and a lot of it's pricey. And you go to cons with your budget, whatever you get, and you hope for the best.
Now, I'm curious about the showcase Tommy Tomorrows. Which issue numbers are those that you've got up there on the wall there? I don't think I've seen those showcases on that. It's not just on your wall there under World of Suspense.
Showcase, let me see
Tommy Tomorrow.
the
Above the Shadow.
right here, Tommy Tomorrow. Yeah.
I don't think I've seen those books.
This is issue number 47 and 46. And yeah, Tommy Tomorrow, again, it's space travel and Tommy Tomorrow, the Planeteers. So it's just me. I like seeing these disaster covers and the hero trying to make sense of it all. These are from 1963, and there's some Silver Age books right there.
That's cool.
It screams out like the atomic Tommy Tomorrow and the atomic blast of, you know, it screams a lot, and the covers are fun, and this is when DC was like Challengers of the Unknown, when they had more team efforts. The other ones are like Rip Hunter, even though it's not a showcase book. A spider cover, by the way.
Yeah, Rip Hunter is another one where I have the showcase collection. Similar, like if I may just for a second here, I have books like this, right, where the showcase they have a bunch of the print off. The Rip Hunter one I have similar to this, and I read a lot of them. Rip Hunter should have lasted longer than it did. It was really good.
They were fun. I mean, the adventures, like a cartoon, was always different in each episode, each issue. Even like the attack of the swarming moths. So that's cool.
Yeah. I think it's cool that I think it was Supergirl's seventh or eighth appearance. She actually goes in the future and meets Tommy Tomorrow. And,
oh, really?
She saves his life when he's a kid. It's a really cool little story. She's stuck in the end of the 21st century at the time. It was, and she saves the life of a guy named kid named Tommy, and who grows up to be Tommy Tomorrow. And so it's kind of an interesting.
He owes a lot to her. That's great.
Yeah,
that's a cool.
Which makes it, I think, a 1960 or 60 story, I think, which is why I was curious to how the showcases, because that long, I know that Tommy Tomorrow had a spot in Strange Adventures at one point, and one other book, but I see they tried with showcase. That's really cool. So, how do you decide what topics you're going to do in your videos?
Well, just basically the interest of what's current or what's popular, and trying to delve more into the history. A lot of it is looking at, I've really acquainted myself with great artists like Dave Stevens, obviously, or Matt Baker with Fiction House and Planet Comics, and just going like one by one, seeing Dick Giordano or Steve Ditko, and just kind of learning about them and living in their time period. So I'll create videos that are more about a biography, or just the time period with the theme, like we saw with like rockets and space, like Flash Gordon-esque.
And that's one of the videos I watched on your channel, was one of those type of videos. It was very good. Chat, if you check out Leo's channel, his topical videos like that are some of his best work, and I really enjoyed them.
Oh, I appreciate that, Matt. And it's just kind of what I serve to do is document what I've researched in video form, because I feel like I learned a lot. Maybe I can explain that to the video community about the trials and tribulations of like the artist or the comic book, or Star Comics being in the 80s, or Transformer books being in the late 80s, or just kind of living and experiencing what I felt when I was reading comics back in the day, and just grouping together a theme. I'm working on a couple right now with a typewriter and how they appeared in comics. I first started actually doing like a trope or a theme. Pinball was a theme, like the appearances of pinball in comic, or the appearances of the Empire State Building in comics. Then it became locomotive. And there's some other great YouTubers out there that kind of pick a trope or a subject and kind of build around it. So
Very
then I
cool.
got into time periods. One of the first videos that really got a lot of views was talking about Charlton comics and Silver Age comics. Then I did Planet Comics, and then the figures in Planet Comics, and then from there looking at certain 80s books. And I did a 3-part series, which I have to finish, 87 to 89, just getting around to getting the collection together. Because a lot of it, as you know, Matt, is moving books around to find the book, to research the book, to write notes about the book, and then coming up with the content. And it's some preparation there. So
I agree. My research deep dive ones represent 4 to 6 hours of research, generally speaking. And that's with me using my memories to begin with as a starting point. So we've got a couple of questions here. Question number 1 is from Lewis. Leo, do you like individual books or do you have runs of certain characters?
I have a little of both. I have runs of some of the miniseries, like I'm holding right now. You have to move out of the way. Star Hunters.
Yeah,
I like this little.
Happy to do so.
We're talking about Showcase. This happened to be DC Superstar. So I have like some short runs of some books that I have to kind of move, and like my run of like Red Sonja. So I do like to pick up some runs, like these Bronze Age goodies, but I go after some individual books like the ones on my wall here that are unique. For example, the latest acquisition was this one right here, this individual book, one that I was looking for. This is from 1955.
Wow.
It's a
I
robot
love
cover.
robots.
So, robots are great. And like this one here, like looking at this one, I like to pick up some things with a little theme to it, like this robot grabbing a passenger plane out of the sky. And this is from 1952, and this is from 1955. So time traveling, you could see the passion for robots and the development of those characters and so forth. So that's kind of how it migrates. So those are the individual books, but I don't target them. I find them in the wild. I learn about them, and then I go back and I research and maybe add that to like a want list or something like that.
And
this came out of the blue, another one. So these books are just kind of books that you just kind of stumble upon, you kind of think about. And this is from 1949. This is SpaceX first appearance. I'm kidding. Yeah, but it just that's how my collecting goes. Do I look for individual books? Yes and no. I look for something that has a lot of eye appeal, that has some history behind it.
And we've got another question, but first, thank you, Turtwig. Your question came with a super chat, which means you get one of my new video thingies.
All right.
Ahoy, have you seen this man?
Arr, that's Handsome Pete. He dances for nickels. Pete, you got some customers. Not a quarter. Arr, he'll be dancing for hours.
I love that clip. Handsome Pete is a running gag, and my wife and I both know it. It's a running gag in our house. That's kind of why I wanted to bring it on. But the question is, can we see one of your original covers?
Sure. I know I had a comment on my channel when I showed some of these, like the original covers that I made for reproduction, to clarify, or like a drawing, or like a cover that was made for a coverless book.
All right, let's take a look at these.
Yeah, so for the coverless book, they come like this. I kind of get them coverless for like a couple bucks. This happens to be a giant size X-Men #2. But I look for the copy with a high resolution, and I print it on like a glossy cardstock, and then kind of superimpose it so that when I'm looking through the collection, it looks like it's part of the one piece, the cover. So I've done a series of these with the Silver Surfer because I found a whole collection of coverless Silver Surfers, like these two guys right here. These are all coverless, but the covers are reproduced with glossy paper. And I go to FedEx, Kinko's, and measure the size of it and create it. It doesn't have the inside, unfortunately. It's not the interior. Some of these books have the back cover, but not the front cover. But there is a website on eBay that did this beautiful cover right here. This is a reproduction cover on a coverless book that I picked up for $25. And this is Superman issue number 56.
Very
And I
cool.
could leave in the comments the actual eBay seller. But when you open it up, it did a wonderful job of creating the ad on the inside and everything in there, even the back cover. So this is a full wrap of a cover that I purchased on eBay because I bought it originally like this. And it has an appearance of the prankster in it right there. It was a beautiful coverless book, everything about it. There were no nicks or scratches or tears on the interior. And you could just see like the artwork is complete and clean. And the colors are very vivid. But sometimes I make the cover. I make a cover for the book. Otherwise, on eBay, there is a nice vendor seller that can make a complete one.
Very cool. That's amazing. So, do you know the name of the seller, or?
It's the letters CLXXNX. It's all capital, like CLNXX. But if you type in a keyword search on eBay, cover reproduction, and you see CLLNXX, that's the seller. He doesn't have like a name like John's cover or John reproduction, but he does phenomenal $10 reprints of whole Golden Age book. Giving him a little plug here. But I can probably find out for you. But I do know if you type in the eBay like cover reproduction, you'll see the first one is CLNXX, the combination of CLN and X.
Very cool. We got another question here from Mark's Issues with Archie Comics, big Archie guy, great channel. Wants to know what Jughead is behind you.
I'm sure. You're probably seeing a pinball cover because all these in the back are pinball related. You could see like little Lulu, little Dot, everything. But yeah, I always love Archie because they always have a cool theme, something that's unique. But the Jughead right there is issue number, I could grab it for you a little bit here. Let me pull it up closer. I kind of taped them to the wall here. Milkshake. Who needs a milkshake? It's summer right now. Move that over there. Yeah, this one is Jughead number 102. Let me see. 102. If I could bring it closer without knocking everything over.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's kind of here. This is my pinball wall. So all these are like
commented about the Planetary earlier as well.
Yeah, maybe I can move it. Is that a little better for you guys?
Yes, that's working.
Yeah, so just have that theme pinball. And then of course, this is made by Tommy. This is a pinball machine there, and the jukebox is on top of it.
Of course, it's made by Tommy.
And then a little pinball tiger game, LCD game right over there. So I like pinball, and there's, of course, the time travel device that's sacred and top secret.
Yes, and for those that don't know, he uses that in his videos on his channel. It's great shirt.
Right. It bends the time and space to travel and find good comics like the ones here.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going, Turtwig. Of course, it's Tommy, the pinball wizard himself. For those that don't,
you're like reliving your childhood. This is like a closet that's kind of relives everything.
I went to Las Vegas to see the Who, specifically to see the Who, and I'm a big fan of Pinball Wizard, so it's a great song,
Oh,
great album. That whole Tommy album's great. So, what do you see your collection becoming? Where's your collection going to go? Is it more the same, or are you going to decide one day, maybe I'm going to only collect Captain America from now on? Like, is it, where do you see yourself?
No, that's a good question, and I think every comic collector contemplates how much more could I collect? Do I have the space for it? Do I want to change themes? And we all say I'm starting to downsize. I'm not buying enough, not as many books, but we all kind of end up getting a stack, much to our chagrin. But I'm actually looking more for like quality books now, looking to see maybe reducing some of the runs that I've enjoyed, that I've read over, and kind of lost affinity for, to maybe purchase a Planet comic book or one of the Unknown World or World of Suspense books like there. So my transition will be more of downsizing, but upgrading to a bigger book per se. And I talk to my friends, and they have a lot of books and over 30 short boxes, and they're like, gee, you know what? I've collected, I've enjoyed chasing after the run, and you have your run of Daredevil, Iron Man, what have you. But then it comes to a point where you want to free up some space and have a really good book that can really define your collection. So that's where I'm at, is really not chasing after too many runs right now, but finding something obscure and unique and just treasuring it and really dissecting it. Once I get the book, dissecting it, the author, the artist, the colorist, the pencilers, and seeing the history that went into that book. So that's the direction that I'm taking, Matt.
Very cool, Leo. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us tonight. I've really enjoyed this very much. As I said, I've had the honor of watching your channel. Although I've watched your channel for probably it was about a month ago that I discovered it. I really watched a lot of your stuff to get an idea of how, get to know you a little bit before you come on. I do that with everybody who comes on. I want to know what's going. I want to be able to know where to lead the discussion, right? And honestly, your research is really good. And I really think if you have not been to see Leo's channel yet, give it a try, guys, and ladies, of course, and gentle beings of all stripe. Give it a check out, because Leo, I've put his links to both Instagram and YouTube in the description of this video. Check him out. He's got he also does editing, unlike myself. He does editing. And the time travel gimmick is actually kind of, I my first reaction to was a little awesomely cheesy. That's the phrase I used, because it's cool while being nerdy, and there's nothing better than that. And the first time I saw you with that time travel machine, I was hooked. Yes, Lau is saying it's a good channel, so I'm guessing he's checked it out.
Oh, thank you very much, man. I'm glad you stumbled upon the channel. It's always great to see the ever-growing comic book community and Matt like comics, and also congrats on the nomination last year and the award. I remember we were listed together, so kudos.
Yes, I do remember that. I do remember you and I were up again for an award together. Did I win one of the ones? And I'm not,
props to that, because we were considered like the certain tier of channels and subscribers.
Yeah, no, I know. I know that you were up against me for one of them. I remember your name. That's actually the first time I checked out your channel.
Oh, great!
I wanted to check out everyone, because I wanted to see who was nominated. I went and watched at least one video of everybody who would hit the finals in every category, so that when I made my votes, I knew where to go. And honestly, I didn't. I will be honest. I only voted for myself in one category. So, so I was nominated in 3, but I did not vote for myself in 2 of them, because I thought 2 others were better. And I won't say because mostly because I don't remember, but I know that I only didn't vote. I didn't vote for my own in those categories. But and that's coming up soon, everybody. And my understanding is
Well, yeah,
that
I
in
think it is.
July it's going to open up. So if you're watching a lot of channels, I'm a big fan of Brian LCS, who runs the
Oh,
comic
right.
book
He was
collector
on
awards.
there too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
and honestly, I'm a big fan of the awards in general. Like right from the beginning, long before I was ever qualified to win, I thought they were great. So I love the fact that this is a chance for everybody out there, not just the creators, but everybody out there to have their say on who their favorites are, both in nominating and, of course, once the finalists are listed, picking the finalists. Join us next Tuesday when my guest will be Mr. Justin himself, Snazzy Pants. Yes, the guy who's joined us on the Friday night to hang out. I'm going to bring him on to try and get him to know him one-on-one a little. Thank you all for coming. If you're not doing anything after this, go check out Hall Yeah Comics, over and give Nate and the boys a watch. We all know Johnny with his Johnny's Silver Age DC picks of the week are just hilarious, among other parts of the show. Thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you, Leo. My name's Matt. I like comics, and I hope you do too. Bye, everybody.
It's been a pleasure.